Welcome to the Social Ninjas Podcast. I am your co-host, Kyle. Join with me, as always, Jeremy. What is going on, Jeremy?
What's up, Kyle? Effort over results.
He's just repping the effort over results hoodie. Love it. We also have a very special guest with us today, Kute Blackson. What's going on, man?
How are you? It's good to be here.
We're glad to have you. Yeah, absolutely. So for people who aren't familiar with you, can you give us a little background on yourself and kind of what you do?
Yeah, I'm a transformational teacher and speaker and, best-selling author. I help people transform. I help people connect to who they are. I help people to live their purpose. I help people share their love with the world. I help people be the most authentic version of themselves. How I got started was from a very young, I was born in Ghana, West Africa. My father's from Ghana. My mother's Japanese. From a very young age, I always felt a deep calling to serve humanity. I felt this burning desire as a 5-6-year-old boy. I really was very sensitive to the pain of people's pain. And I'd feel people's pain. I was wondering, how can I alleviate suffering? And so my first memories as a young boy in terms of how I got started was I remember must have been age 6, age 7. I saw this crippled woman picking up the sand that this man walked on and wipes it on her face and stands up. I was lost in the crowd. This man didn't even know that she picked up the sand. She stood up. A miracle happened. But week after week, I grew up seeing the same man whose sand she picked up look at, let's say, a woman in a wheelchair and say, stand up, or look at a blind person who couldn't see and put his hands on them and they would see. And so I grew up, I know it sounds a little intense, but I grew up around miracles. And this was sort of normal to me, the possibilities of anything's possible. And this man was my father. He built 300 churches in Ghana, West Africa, a huge church in London.
Wow.
I started speaking in my father's churches when I was age 8. I was ordained at 14. 18, I retired and I left the ministry. Didn't feel that was my path. But I was always very obsessed with trying to understand, who am I and what's the purpose of life? And I'd see people, in London who had every reason to be happy and they were miserable. And I grew up around a lot of people that didn't have a lot of money, and yet they seemed happy and fulfilled and kind and generous. And so the question became, what is the purpose of life? Is it just to wake up, go to sleep, make money, have sex, make babies, have 2 cars, and then die? I mean, surely there has to be more to this human experience. And so this became my obsession and my quest. I read book after book in terms of psychology, spirituality, self-help. I mean, 800 books by the time I was 18, just trying to figure all of this stuff out. And that was my journey. It really also began when I was 14 and I was ordained by my father. I knew that was not my path. I knew that was not my destiny. But, as a 14-year-old kid, I was too afraid to say no. I was too afraid to tell my father, "Hey, man, I love you, Dad," but I'm terrified. I'm terrified to tell my father that this is not what I want to do. And so I went through the ordination, the ceremony, and for 4 years just struggled with the internal knowing that I was not in alignment. I was afraid that if I dared to be myself, I would be outcast. If I dared to be myself, I would lose his love. I'd be alone. I'd be abandoned. I'd lose the community. And when I was 18, I looked into my future and I realized I could be successful by everyone else's standards. But if I don't have myself, I could be famous and make money and what have you. But if I didn't have myself, my own sanity, then I have nothing. And that's when I decided quite painfully that I had to have the conversation. I had to leave the church. I had to leave the ministry and go on my path. And I was being called into a direction. I wanted to go into self-help and inspire and motivate and give seminars. I just didn't know exactly how I was going to get there, but I had the conversation with my father. We didn't speak for 2 years. I left everything behind, came to the US with 2 suitcases, knew no one in America, landed in Los Angeles. And, that began my journey.
I'm in LA.
Hello, Angelino. I just left LA.
I have a million questions.
Go.
The first one that comes to mind is someone sitting here listening. All right, I don't know what to do. I don't know my life direction. What's my purpose? I'm lost.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's a great place to be. Congratulations. Sometimes when we're so sure about what we think our life purpose is, we end up limiting ourselves. And so, there's a lot of talk and a lot of books in the self-help field about finding your purpose. You've got to know what your purpose is. You've got to figure out your purpose. You've got to know before you begin. Don't start till you begin. I think it's all a myth. I think a lot of it is misinformation, is actually limited. I come from a standpoint that you actually don't need to know what your life purpose is in order to live it. Let me repeat, you don't have to know what your life purpose is in order to live it. The ego constantly is addicted to seeking and seeking and seeking and seeking and seeking. And so many times what we do is we're constantly seeking to find our life purpose. And we end up postponing giving our gifts, sharing our love, sharing our insight, sharing who we are, because we're trying to find our life purpose. So life progresses. We're 60, 70 years old, and then we die with so much inside of us, never fully having expressed who we are and our gifts to the world. Why? Because we were trying to find our life purpose. I'm saying you don't have to find your life purpose. What does that mean? Does that mean you just do nothing? No. What that means, if you're trying to go, well, what's my life purpose? I'm going to back up. I'm going to come from a spiritual perspective. Then I'm going to give you like specific info. Ultimately, the fact that you're born, the fact that you're alive, I would say this moment existing right now is this moment is your life purpose. We incarnate into this human experience as souls, or whatever you believe, but we incarnate into this human experience, I believe, as souls in order to grow, learn, and evolve. We are ultimately here on this planet to grow, learn, evolve, learn lessons, and become the most authentic, best version of ourselves. And every relationship, every situation, every person, everything you go through is ultimately a classroom. Life is a university. Life is a classroom, and everything is your teacher. And so ultimately, the purpose of life is evolution. The purpose of life is growth. The purpose of life is becoming the most authentic version of yourself. That's the ultimate purpose of life. In terms of finding your personal purpose, you don't need to know what it is. You don't need to figure it out, because purpose is evolutionary. The more you evolve, the more you mature, the more your purpose will also grow and evolve. Your purpose will shift. So what does that mean? I invite people, rather than trying to figure your purpose out up front from the sidelines, go in the direction, move in the direction of what you love. Move in the direction of what makes you come alive. Move in the direction of what lights you up. To me, the world doesn't need more people that just make more money or, have jobs. The world needs people that are alive, feel alive, are alive, that come alive, that are living alive with what lights up their souls. And so ask yourself, what do I love? What turns me on? What would I do for free? What people don't know is when I was a kid, I didn't have a lot of money growing up. Grew up in South London, a place called Peckham, very dangerous at the time. And my father's church was there. My bedroom was so tiny. It was like someone's bathroom. It was so tiny. My dreams were so big, yet my reality was so small. One of the things I would do is at night, after doing my homework, I would sneak into my father's church, unlock the door to the church. I would sneak into my father's church. People don't know this, but 4 or 5 hours a night, 5, 6 hours on the weekends, each day, Saturday, Sunday, I would speak. Imagine this 11, 12-year-old kid. I would speak, give seminars to the empty chairs in the pitch black darkness, sharing my gift with the world. And so this is what made me come alive. This is what I love. I'd be doing this shit for free, So when you go in the direction of what you love and you take a step, people might say, but Kute, I don't know how. Stop asking how. We analyze to the point where we're paralyzed, and then we don't take action. If you go in the direction of what you love and you take a step, you just take a step. When you take a step, life reveals the next step to you. Life will show you and reveal the next step when you take a step. And then you take another step. Then I found that life reveals the next step to you, brings you situations and people and experiences. Then you take another step. Life reveals another step to you. All the while you're following what you love. Life then reveals to you another step. Before you know it, 6 months, a year, 5 years from now, you end up zigzagging, because success is never a straight line. You end up living into your life purpose, not figuring it out, but living into your life purpose, and your life purpose becomes revealed to you in the process of living life itself. And each step you take, you learn things. Each step you take, you evolve. Each step you take, you develop mental, emotional, spiritual muscles. And in every step, you become more prepared and able and ready for the next level of your life. But if we're trying to figure it out from the sidelines, we never develop and become. Develop our awareness and develop the mental, the emotional capacity to be able to fulfill the vision and dream that we're giving. So each step is also your preparation. Question number one, if you're trying to figure out your life purpose, question number one, what do I love? What turns me on? What makes me come alive? Number one. Number two, really look at, based on my experience, what tangible skill sets do I actually have? Because someone might say, I love basketball, but I'm freaking 2'1". I mean, you're not going to be an NBA player, So what specific skill sets do I have based on your experience? I believe every single thing we've been through as human beings, every job, every situation, every failure, every heartbreak is preparing us and developing us with the specific skills that we can bring to our purpose. So we've been through everything for a reason. So what skills do I have? What unique problems am I gifted at solving? To me, I tell people, when you think about your purpose, don't ask yourself, where can I make money? How can I make money? Although money is an important factor of life, it's a facilitator. To me, making money is a function of adding value. And we add value when we solve someone's pain, problem, or challenge. And so when we really look at, what pain, problem, or challenge am I uniquely gifted at solving, and really get clear on that, many times we don't appreciate what we're good at or what comes naturally to us because we're just good at it, And so I think it's important that we really honor and own what we are uniquely gifted at solving, what we're uniquely gifted at sharing, and because that is value to the world. We have to own our own value. Lastly, I invite people to really look at, what group of people do I resonate with? What group of people do I feel an affinity with? Maybe you're someone who you feel an affinity with the homeless, you feel an affinity with teenage mothers, you feel an affinity with, the elderly, or a certain group of people, or animals, or the dogs, or the dolphins. I believe we feel a connection and an affinity with that group of people because maybe we've lived that. Maybe we have a soul agreement. Whatever it is, that might show you the group of people in terms of who you have been put on this planet to serve. And so I think all of those questions can kind of begin pointing you in the direction. But I would say there's no way someone like Oprah, right, could have 30 years ago figured out she was going to be one of the most powerful, successful media moguls in the world. She didn't plan that. She didn't have any idea that she probably would be doing what she's doing today. But she started, she went in the direction of what she loved. She loved communicating. She loved communication. She just went in that direction. She didn't start with, I'm going to be a multi-billionaire and impact the world at that level. She just started. She started reading the news, the local news. I think it was in Baltimore, but she had too much compassion. So she would cry reading the news. And her boss said, that's not going to work. So he gave her a demotion, put her in a kind of a talk show situation in one particular market. Because of her compassion and her empathy and her communication skills, that blew up, which led to more markets, which led to syndication, which led to the Oprah Winfrey Show, which led to 30 years later. So we have to start in the direction.
Wow. Go ahead, Kyle. That was amazing. I was taking notes the whole time and also listening.
Awesome.
So I'm just thinking, so you're talking about taking steps in the right direction. So I know in my own personal life, and I'm sure you guys have experienced similar things as well, some steps are kind of scary to take, right? So what do you tell people to get them to take those steps that are, outside that comfort zone?
Yeah, I think, look, I would say, if you don't, in relation to your dream, if you don't have some fear, I'm not talking about a tiger chasing you and your life is on the line, but if you don't have some fear, like, oh shit, oh my God, this is a little scary. This is, if you don't have probably the dreams you have aren't big enough. I'm going to repeat, the dreams that you have are not big enough. The fact that you have some nervousness, some fear, the dream is evolutionary. The dream is forcing you to evolve. The dream is causing you to expand beyond your current capacity. Any good dream will cause you to expand beyond your current capacity, beyond yourself, force you to go inside and tap into parts of yourself that you didn't have to tap into. They will force you to become more. And so if you feel some fear when you think of your dream, some fear, some resistance, this is a good sign. This is a good sign. You don't have to get rid of it. You don't have to get rid of it. You don't have to like heal it, transform it, get rid of it, have no fear, but you get to acknowledge the fear and use the fear and develop the courage. This is what courage is about. Courage is feeling the fear, acknowledging the fear, but you don't let it stop you. A couple of things I would say. Realize fear is not bad. It's your friend. If there's not some fear, develop bigger goals. Number 2, don't focus on what's not. Many times our focus is on what will go wrong or what the worst case scenario. Instead, I would say take the focus off of yourself. We often stay stuck in fear because we're focused on ourselves. How am I going to survive? What will people think? I'm going to be laughed at. I'm going to be ridiculed. I'm going to fail. What if it doesn't work? The thing is, when you're really focused, you shift the focus from yourself and you really focus on all the people that are going to be impacted by your dream, by your podcast, by your book, by your creation. You focus on the souls that will be impacted and you feel them and you tune into them. Maybe that mother will have a better relationship with the kid. Maybe that father, that guy is going to have the courage to leave their job, and you focus on the impact that you sharing your gift with the world will have and all those souls. And you let that pull you forward. You let that inspire you. You're like, think about it for a second. What if Nelson Mandela let fear stop him? Would we live in a different world? What if Martin Luther King said, I'm too afraid. I might die. So you know what? Let me just live a quiet life with a small little church, my family. Because who knows what might happen? Would America, would the world be a different place if Martin Luther King didn't give his gifts to the world? What if Mother Teresa, she just started by picking up one person? Sometimes we are in fear because we think of the bigness of our vision, all we want to do, right? And it can be sometimes overwhelming, like, how the hell am I going to do that? But if you look at Mother Teresa, she didn't think about the millions of sick people that she wanted to save and help. She just started with one person. So one thing that helps is stop focusing on everything in terms of the vision and all the elements and just simply focus on, here's what I would say, focus on responding to the need that presents itself in the moment. Don't even focus on the millions of people you want to help. Focus on the one person that is seeking your help right now. You can do that. I can do that. We can do that. Sometimes we think, well, it doesn't make a difference. Yeah, but if we don't start there, then we don't get to, if we don't help one, we don't help two, we don't help two, we don't help four, we don't help four, we don't help eight. We got to start by responding to the need in the moment. So if you really want to be of service, respond to the need that's right in front of you in the moment. And so sometimes we overwhelm ourselves and go into fear because we focus on, oh my God, it's so huge. How is it going to happen? Right? And so I say, don't even focus on that. You respond to the need in the moment. Then you become worthy of the next level. And the universe then gives you more. And the universe then gives you a bigger platform. The universe then gives you more. Like if you don't, I'm sure there are probably millions of people that are thinking right now, oh, I really want to start a podcast. I really wish I could start a podcast. I really wish I could have a podcast. But you guys, social ninjas, you did it. You did. One day you said, frick it, we're good. Let's do this. And you started. And you probably, correct me if I'm wrong, you didn't start with gazillions of listeners. You just put it out there and you started. Most people don't start. So just start. That's a key. in terms of, and, fear, here's what I'll say. To me, fear is like excitement, underneath excitement. If we can learn to have a relationship with the fear, what we typically do is we suppress the fear. We try to deny the fear, which then it grows even more. So it's important that we start developing a relationship with the fear, that it's not bad. We can honor the fear, but fear is excitement. Fear, underneath the fear, if we learn to breathe through it and embrace it, it turns into excitement. And then we can transform that fear into the excitement that it is, and use that energy of excitement to be awake, to be alert, to move us forward, to give more of our gifts to the world with an urgency. The last thing I'll say in terms of fear that's helped me over the years, right, around fear, is this thought. If you're afraid, and maybe you're procrastinating, maybe you're holding back, maybe you're not loving fully, maybe you're not sharing your gifts, maybe you're not following your entrepreneurial passions because you're afraid, remember this: you are going to die. Let me repeat. You are going to die. Feel that. Feel that. Like, that's real. Jesus died, Buddha died, Bruce Lee died, Muhammad Ali died, David Bowie died, Bob Marley died, Mother Teresa died, JFK died, Martin Luther King died, Mandela died. You're going to die. So how do you want to die? Closed, contracted? How do you want to die? Or sharing your gift with the world? Either way, hold back, live in fear, you're going to die. Give your gift to the world, you're going to die. Either way, you're going to die. And so I would say, feel the reality of death. Hold death close, not as a morbid thing. But when you realize you're going to die, that you don't have forever, none of us know when that moment will come. None of us know when we will meet our maker. None of us know. It could happen today. It could happen 10 years from now. Hopefully we all live a long life. It could happen 50 years from now. It could happen 5 minutes from now. None of us know, because I guarantee you the people in 9/11 had no idea they weren't coming home that night. The people, who died of COVID maybe last year had no idea. It was a surprise. The people who were in the natural disasters, they didn't have any idea that they weren't going to come home that night, look their loved ones in the eyes and say, I'm sorry, or say, thank you, or say, I love you, or say, please forgive me. We have no idea. Life is so fragile. Yet sometimes we live like we have forever. I'll do it when I retire. When I have enough money, when I heal myself fully, when I reach a certain point. Life is not a guarantee. And so I would invite people to really feel death. Feel it. Dying right now. When you meet your maker, you can't go to God or the universe or whatever you believe and say, God, I kind of wasted like 3 years in fear, procrastinating on living my dream. Can I get those 3 years back? Can I get a refund on my life? I wasted 3 years in that job I hated because I was too afraid to go out and launch my podcast or share my gift. Can I get a refund, God, on those 5 years in that relationship that I stayed in? Once that time is gone, it's gone. So feel your death. Use that as a deep motivation to say, you know what, I don't have time to mess around. Yes, there's fear. I acknowledge the fear. I breathe through the fear. I love myself through the fear. I hold the little girl or the little boy inside of me. I hold my own hand and I move through the fear. But this life, live with no regrets, and use death as a reminder to move through. That's what I would say.
I resonate with that so much. I feel like I'm constantly telling myself, like, I would rather be, 70 years old and, and let's say I failed at everything at least that I was, trying to do or going through in my purpose, than to like be 70 years old and realize like I never took a shot at anything. Like I never went after it. I was like, I would rather just I'd rather just fail and be old than realize that I didn't go after anything that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I'd rather do that than just live in mediocrity.
Yes. Yeah. You know, ultimately, and I think if you live that way, you're going to grow. You're going to evolve. You're going to have amazing experiences. The wisdom and the lessons that you will learn. Success is never a straight line. It's a zig and a zag, and it's a zig and a zag. And I think what's important, many times, failure stops us. Failure is just a perception of the ego. It's just a misinterpretation of the ego. The universe is just giving us feedback. Ultimately, we have to, when we really remember the purpose of life is evolution, that we are here to evolve, then there really is no failure. If there's a failure, there's just a failure to learn the lesson in a given situation. And so if something doesn't work out, it's not that we failed. It's not that we failed. In every situation, there's an opportunity for us to grow, to learn, and to evolve. So long as we have to, I think, create a new paradigm or definition of success. Because the definition of success we have in our culture perpetuates this sense of fear, like, I don't want to fail, because not achieving the goal means failure. And what does that mean about me? And what will people say about me? And I'm saying real success is not simply whether you attained the goal or whether you didn't attain the goal or the outcome. Real success is who you become and who you became in the process of living life itself. And if you grow and you become more empathetic, you become more yourself, you become more compassionate, you become more wise, you become more connected to who you are through the process that the journey of your goal takes you on, that's what counts. That's what counts. If you simply attain the goal, but you're a jerk, but you're disconnected from yourself, your family hates you, you hate yourself, you don't respect yourself, what kind of success is that? But you succeeded, And so I think we have to start focusing less on the outcome and more on the journey. And you might find that when you're really present in the moment, in the journey, fully here right now, all of your attention in the moment right now, likely your actions are going to be another. It's like playing sports. When you're not just focused on the outcome, but you're fully present in the moment, Tom Brady style, Kobe style, Michael Jordan style, in the moment, you're going to perform at a higher level anyway, which will probably impact the results you end up creating in your life. So I think if we can redefine success within ourselves to, am I learning? Am I growing? Am I evolving? Am I enjoying the journey? Am I fully experiencing the journey? Then I think that takes some of the pressure off in terms of fear of failure and what might happen. And then we can keep evolving, And the other thing I would say is we have to learn to embrace the unknown. The really learning to embrace the unknown. We're afraid of, if I go in this direction, then what will happen? It's the unknown. The quality of your life is really in direct proportion with your ability to embrace and dance in the unknown. That's the freedom. And I think when we can embrace that, it frees us up to, instead of living in fear of, the mind is always trying to know what something means, know where we're going, know what something is. We're constantly trying to control everything. So we live in fear. What's going to happen tomorrow? Will my girlfriend, will my spouse, will my husband be around? Will I get sick? Oh my God. We're trying to control the world, trying to control the weather, trying to control our wife, our husband, our kids, our goldfish, our pet dog. We're trying to control so much in our life that we live in fear, stress, and anxiety. And so I think when we're able to realize there's only so much we're in control of, then a different kind of freedom opens up. And knowing the distinction between what am I in control of, what am I not in control of? We're not in control of what the government does. We're not in control of what our parents do. We're really not in control of what other people do. We're not in control of the weather. We're not in control of so much of what happens in the world, but we are in control of what we choose to think, how we choose to feel, what we choose to make certain events mean, and the stories that we make up in our mind about what things mean for us and how we respond. And when we know that no matter what happens outside, I have the power to respond, to choose my response in any given moment, that is a different kind of freedom. We don't have the power to control what happens, but we have the power to control the meaning we make about certain things and then the actions we take. That is a freedom that helps us move through the fear.
I have a quick question, and that is, do you ever get moments where you get overwhelmed and you're having a hard time? And in those moments, what do you do to snap out of it?
Yeah. There's some moments where, I've been working and evolving for quite a while, right? So at this stage, it's different. There are some moments where there might be a moment of overwhelm, let's say. But what I found is any moment of overwhelm, like, oh my God, overwhelm, whoa, is usually, if you really become present and check yourself in that moment, usually your attention is not in the present moment. Usually what you will find, if you were to pause in that moment, just try it, like overwhelm, that's just the fire alarm going off. It's not bad. It's just the signal going, dee, dee, pay attention. Time out, pause, step back, check your attention. You will likely find that you have gone into the future. You've projected yourself into the future. And now you're simultaneously thinking about all of the things in your future, all the things you need to do, all the projects you need to make, all the people you need to speak to, all the phone calls you need to make, everything all at once. And you've blown everything in your mind, created a scenario of the future all at once. That creates overwhelm, thinking of everything all at one time. That typically is when overwhelm happens. So if I get into that moment, I know that that's probably what I'm doing, thinking of everything all at once. So I step back, I breathe, tune into my body, because these things start bringing you back into the present moment. And then rather than focusing on everything all at once, it's okay to, let's say, write down your goals, create everything in terms of a strategy and map that needs to happen. But what I will really then focus on once I've done that is bring my attention to the present moment and ask myself, what is the next action step? What is the next because if you really look at it, you can focus on the next action step most of the time without getting overwhelmed. Oh, a phone call to Joe. Oh, send that one email. Typically sending that one email, unless it's some, intense email you need to send, is not that stressful, not that overwhelming. But when we're focusing on sending the 200, 500, 5,000 emails, it's overwhelming. And so I tend to just bring myself back and go, what's the next action right now? And that's how I really endeavor to stay in the present moment. I have the plan. I have the entire plan, but I try to focus on the moment. What's the next action? Today, like I'm launching a new book, right? I'm not focusing on everything I need to do for the marketing. I have the plan. That's written out. What's my next action right now? It's just being on this podcast with you right now. Not the 200 podcast interviews, not the press, it's just here, right now. That's it. 3 of us here.
Speaking of your new book, tell us a little bit about the journey and what went into your new book.
Yeah, the new book is called The Magic of Surrender, which I'm very, very excited about. Especially given the time that we're in, with 2020 and the pandemic and things that have happened. And, a lot of folks, we had all these plans for the year 2020 that went out the window completely. And I think it was very intense for a lot of people. And a lot of us the year did not go as expected. A lot of us had to let go of ideas and dreams and goals and things we thought were going to be, ended up not being, and there was death, there was grieving, there was letting go. And so I'm excited to share this book with the world because I think it can really support and help people to find the courage to let go and release and ultimately open to more. And so the book really came about in an unexpected way. My mother passed away about 3.5 years ago now, maybe. And that was the first seed of the book. I didn't know it at the time. I was very close to my mother, and it was a year process from when she was diagnosed to when she passed away. And it was a complete surprise. And I was flying from Los Angeles to London every month to be with her for 4 or 5 days, for a year during her chemo sessions. And during that time, I got to see her courage and see her strength and see her resilience and see her level of peace, and it ended up being the best year of my entire life, honestly. And at first, I was a little angry that she had stomach cancer. I was pissed off, angry, resistant. And then I found a level of acceptance because I realized that I can't control the situation. This is what it is. And so the first step is finding a place of acceptance. But the next step beyond acceptance is surrender. And when you're in a state of acceptance of what is, you can still be like resisting, I accept that, for instance, I accept that it's raining outside, but it shouldn't be raining, and I'm still mad, but I accept it, and you go outside with an umbrella, still a little pissed off. But you're in acceptance. Surrender is when you wholeheartedly participate with what's happening. So rather than fighting or resisting, rather than moaning, groaning, and complaining when it's raining outside, you're like, it's raining outside. Wow, maybe it's an opportunity to be indoors with my kids and read to them. Maybe it's an opportunity for the family to watch a movie. Maybe it's an opportunity for the family to have dinner inside. Maybe it's an opportunity to meditate. Maybe it's an opportunity to use what's happening for some betterment, for some upliftment, for something even more, right? And so during that process, I never saw my mother crying. I never saw her moaning or complaining. And I started wondering why. And I realized she was in acceptance and she was in peace. When the doctor said to her, basically, there's no cure. Put your affairs in order. You may have weeks or months. We don't know, but it's definitely not years. It was very emotional for me because I realized I'd never see her again. When you realize the person you love the most is going and this is pretty much it, there's no control. We have this illusion that we're in control as human beings. It's just an illusion. If anything, 2020 reminded us as human beings, we're not in control of very much, really, Control is the master addiction. Thinking that we are in control of our life is like a mosquito on the arse of an elephant, thinking it can control that elephant. Really, there's only so much control we have. And so there I am with my mother and realized she's going to go. Nothing I can do. And I looked at her and I said, Mom, are you at peace? Are you okay? I mean, are you afraid that you're going to die? She looked at me and she said, no, I'm not. And she meant it. It's one thing to read about it, but she looked me in the eyes and she meant it. She said, I'm not afraid because I know I'm not just this body. I'm an infinite spirit. This body is just the clothing for my spirit to inhabit in this lifetime. And I said to her, is there anything I can do for you? As your son, what can I do? Buy you this, take you there. What can I do? And she said, it's going to sound strange, but I really got what she meant in the moment. She looked into my eyes and she said, I just want what God wants, whatever that is. And I realized that she was in such surrender to the process of life, that she was in peace. She was in real peace. We've been taught to think that surrender is weak. We've been taught to think that surrender is passive. We've been taught to think that if you surrender, you won't get your dreams. You won't get what you want. You won't get your your visions. We've been taught to think negatively about surrender like it's giving up. I'm simply saying that surrender is to take the conditions off of life. Surrender is to stop trying to force life to be, or relationships to be, or anything to be something that it's not. To surrender is to live in a state of openness. It doesn't mean be lazy. It doesn't mean, don't show up. Surrender still means show up, do your part, give 100%. But it's about not forcing things to be something that you think it should be, because many times what we think should be is not really what our soul truly needs. What our soul really needs may be something else. And so to surrender is to give 100%, to show up fully without attachment, and to give everything and be open to life and to allow life to guide you. to allow yourself to be guided by life. See, what I'm saying is we sometimes think it's a weak, but I think surrender is the most powerful thing you can do to let go of control. Letting go of control, let me repeat, doesn't mean you don't show up and give everything you've got. You give everything you've got and you let go of control. You're open to the highest good. I think that when we really surrender, see, people think, well, I might not get what I want. I'm actually proposing a different way. When you really surrender, I'm actually saying, what if you got more than what you thought? What if you got more than what you planned? What if you got more than you could imagine? More than you could imagine. Many times we set goals, right? We write our goals in our journals. We think, no, I really want this. This is what I really want. But we also don't realize, because as human beings, as an individual, in our limited egos, our ego and our mind is simply conditioned from the programming of our past, from our parents, from our childhood, from our traumas. And so based on our limited ego perception, we're often setting goals based on who we think we are. We're often setting goals based on the limited perception of our ego, which can't see the whole picture. So sometimes what we think we want is only what we think we want based on who we think we are. And so when we surrender, I'm not saying don't set goals. I'm saying don't be attached to those goals. When we're attached to those goals, like it has to be this way. This has to be my soulmate. It's got to look this way. Then we're not open to the infinite possibilities of, I'm saying, give everything you've got, but be open to the infinite possibilities of life. That's when the magic happens. That's when miracles happen. That's when you start living the zone of Mandela and Jesus and Buddha and Gandhi and Bruce Lee and Muhammad Ali. That's when shit that you can't even imagine starts happening in your life that you couldn't even plan, because you're no longer limited to your past. You're no longer limited to your conditioning. You're no longer limited to your programming of your own mind. You're living in an infinite zone. So to me, that's why I say, if you want the magic, you got to surrender. You got to let go of conditions. You've got to let go of what's not working. When you let go of what's not working, when you let go of those old relationships, when you let go, you're open. You create space. The universe can start showing up and guiding you and blessing you with the next level of what is truly right for you. And so that's kind of the essence of the book.
Wow. I'm excited to read it. And our last question is, if you had one message for the world, what would that message be?
Wow. One message for the world. I have so many messages.
What are your messages to the world?
Hey, you've been warned. Don't get me started. I can talk. As you guys have seen. I could say many things, but I would really say that ultimately the only thing that really matters is the loving. That's it. At the end of our lives, I said, look, on this conversation, we're all going to die. None of us know when that moment's going to come. So don't waste your time holding on to resentment, shame, guilt. Don't waste your time being right to make someone wrong, where you miss out on the connection, you miss out on the relationship, you miss out on the loving. I thought my mother would live another 10, 15 years. I thought I had so much more time to travel and do things. And I realized, that's why I say that 1 year with my mother, which inspired the book, was probably the best year of my life. The best year of my life. And I realized I have one regret in my life. I've traveled to 60 countries. I've had the cars I wanted. I've lived in amazing places. I've had so many beautiful relationships, and just experienced so much. My only regret in life is that I didn't spend more time with my mother. That I didn't spend more time with this woman. It's my only regret in life. And so now when I feel that, I use that as a sacred regret, not as a judgment, just as a reminder, like, remember what's really important. What's really important? I got to spend 8 hours in chemo holding my mother's hand, just talking about nothing. Those are moments you can't get back. So if there's someone you need to forgive, don't waste time. Don't be right. Put your pride aside. Make sure the people in your life know how much you love them. If you die today, make sure they know how much you love them, because at the end of the day, that's what matters. The small things, the simple things, the loving is everything. Love fully. Love now.
Well, that was a great message. I think you picked the right one of your many that you had.
Good pleasure. Thank you.
So for people wanting to, follow you on social media,
Sure.
if they're wanting to buy the book, where can they find it at?
Yeah, appreciate that. Social media, just my name, KuteBlackson.com, Facebook and Instagram. Send me follow me there, send me a message, let me know you heard this interview with the Social Ninjas. Love that. The book, The Magic of Surrender, available for pre-order. You can go to www.themagicofsurrender.com. Go there, find out all the info, order the book directly to Amazon. I'm giving away amazing free gifts. I'm giving away a free training series. I'm giving away special meditation. I'm giving away special surrender codes, PDF, and many other things. I'm giving away a 1-day love breakthrough intensive if you buy a few books. And so you can find out all the info. Go to Amazon, pre-order the book, and let me know.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate you guys.
Let's take a quick picture. 1, 2, 3.
And for all you all still listening, please, if you like this episode, go share it with somebody that needs to hear it. Also leave us a 5-star review. We'd be very appreciative. We will see you all next week.